Western Cape residents might get their own vaccine if the provincial premier gets his way. Winde says he cannot rely on national government as the sole supplier. He says the provincial government has the legal authority to procure a vaccine. Let's hear from the premier now. Premier, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Now, of course, a lot of people would have criticized government around December when the president spoke to us and he said that we'd be getting our first vaccine in the second quarter of the year, which is obviously anything between March and June. Now, as the Western Cape government, you don't trust government that much, even after the announcement that we'll be getting 1.5 million doses by the end of next month.
So, I mean, I look at it from a business point of view and a risk analysis point of view. If you've got one supply line and you've got a crisis on your hands where we're trying to save, lives and livelihoods, let's make sure that we go to the next level. It says to me, hang on a second, minimize that risk. Have a look and see. We have a co-competency. We have health departments in provinces. We have a constitutional mandate in provinces. But I'm also elected by the citizens of this province to do whatever I can in their best interests. I need to save people's lives. So I'm not saying that I'm not going to work with national or I'm going to shun it, but 1.5 million vaccines, into our system is going to be welcomed, and we'll play our part in rolling out whatever we can of those 1.5 million into our frontline health workers. But 1.5 million is not really much for a country like South Africa. So I'm going to play my part in doing whatever I can to get as many more vaccines into the system. Obviously, they must be approved, so it's got to go through the approval process. And obviously, a habit of ours is good governance. So we've got to make sure we have the proper procurement processes and et cetera in place. But I have been making calls, and I am looking to see whether I can get vaccines from wherever, go through the processes so that I can get more vaccines into our system as quickly as possible to get the saving lives part right.
I just want to delve into what you explained there in the last part, because we're trying to understand how it's going to work. For instance, SAHPRA has now recently, approved the procurement, or that the Serum Institute of India can bring that AstraZeneca here in South Africa, which is good news now. So would you probably be looking at speaking to the Serum Institute of India directly to procure your own vaccines for the residents of the Western Cape, or are you going to try and get more than just the SII?
So obviously, we must work with the Serum Institute or the AstraZeneca vaccines. That's where most of my energy is, because I know that will be the first one approved. Then I'm looking at the other vaccines that have good approval ratings in other approval areas, which is what SAHPRA will be doing as well. They're not only going to look at our own trials because it takes too long. They're going to base it on trials from other countries as well. So, when people phone me up and say, I've got vaccines from XYZ company, and I look at the listing and I say to them, I'm very happy to engage with you, but first you need to make sure you've at least got a submission in with SAHPRA, because it's pointless me negotiating with anybody who is going to take another 6 months to get a SAHPRA approval. So absolutely focus on AstraZeneca at the moment, plus some of the other bigger ones. And it's not only necessarily from the Serum Institute. AstraZeneca also manufacture their products at other labs as well. So, in my engagement yesterday with Minister Mkhize, I put a lead through to National yesterday on some good priced vaccines, AstraZeneca vaccines from a different supply, and really hope that they come out for us in South Africa, because I picked it up in my negotiations. But those are coming through deliveries that are going to other countries that maybe are not getting taken up quickly enough. We've seen in many first world countries the process of rolling out the vaccines is not as quick and easy as everybody thinks. It's a very complex process. So if there's a pileup of vaccines in some market, my hand's up and saying, please, we need them here. And obviously I'm doing whatever I do is in the interests of the citizens of this province, because that's who elected me to look after their best interests. But I'm also a South African. So, as what happened yesterday, I got a lead, and it went straight through to Minister Mkhize as well, because, obviously every vaccine that comes into our country we're better off as a country. And of course, I'm really trying also for our fair share in the province.
Explain to us the authority that you were saying that your government has as a provincial sphere of government. Can you bypass national government, for instance, and procure your own vaccine?
So I believe so. The Constitution says that provincial governments have a competency in health and education. Those are our main competencies, and where most of our budget goes. We've been making this decision around PPE and building of extra hospital facilities, oxygen, putting beds in place. We do that. That's what we do as a province. So why not? Why can I order an N95 mask, but I can't order a vaccine in the best interests of the people of this province? So absolutely. And if I can get extra vaccines that are approved, that go through the proper process, I'm going to do it. And so that's what we're busy focusing on. And we also having, obviously, internal in our discussions in our own government, making sure that those processes are correct, that we've got to follow due and proper process. We also believe in good governance, so also those processes going through cabinet approvals, et cetera, et cetera. We've got to do things properly, but I believe that the Constitution allows us to do it. We've done it in if you go back years ago with antiretrovirals. This province did it as well. We procured antiretrovirals to give to people who had HIV and AIDS, and we did it long before national government was doing it. We went ahead and did it.
Well, Premier Winde, I have to let you go soon, but I just want to ask you one more question. Of course, this year is an election year. It's precisely for municipalities as well. Some people would say that this is a campaign for the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape. What's your response to that?
Well, my job at the moment, I'm not up for election this year. My job is to save as many people as I can in my province. I am absolutely zoomed in and focused on getting the lives and livelihoods right in this province. That is my focus, and this falls in part of what I'm doing. People that know, they contact me for all sorts of things, because of course I have a very broad responsibility. But at the moment, when you contact me about something else, I send you off to that relevant MEC. If it's about survival, if it's about lives, if it's about COVID-19, or the balancing livelihoods on the other side, that's what I focus on, and this is part of that focus.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there. That is, of course, Western Cape Premier Alan Winde.